The village of Nyanaba was nestled deep in the embrace of the forest, where ancient trees whispered secrets to the wind, and the rivers sang songs older than time itself. Life in the village was simple and serene, ruled by traditions passed down through generations. Here, the people understood the balance of nature and spirit, knowing that every shadow in the woods, every ripple on the water held meaning. Yet, even in this place of wisdom, some mysteries could not be foreseen. Kwesi was a young man with dreams as vast as the savanna skies. He was strong, hardworking, and admired by all who knew him. A skilled hunter and farmer, Kwesi embodied the pride of Nyanaba. Though he had many suitors, he had chosen none, for he believed that love, like a harvest, must come in its own season. Then came Adama. No one knew where Adama had come from. She arrived one morning as the mist still clung to the earth, a vision of beauty that seemed almost unreal. Her skin gleamed like polished bronze and her eyes, oh her eyes, were golden, shimmering like the sun as it dipped below the horizon. She walked with a grace that set her apart, her every step light, as though the earth barely felt her presence. She had appeared by the sacred river, the Asin, a place where only the bravest dared go. It was said the Asin was guarded by spirits, some kind, others vengeful. The elders, cautious but curious, took her in. "I have no home," Adama said softly when asked of her origins. Her voice was melodic, soothing like the flow of water. "I was guided here by the spirits. Please let me stay." The villagers were skeptical, but Adama's gentleness soon won their hearts. She fetched water from the river, helped with the children, and healed those who fell ill with knowledge of herbs no one else possessed. Some whispered that she was more than human, but no one dared to voice it openly. Kwesi, like the others, was enchanted. He had seen many women in his life, but none like Adama. She was not only beautiful but wise, speaking of the forest with an understanding that surpassed his own. They spent time together under the great baobab tree, where she would tell stories of faraway lands and ancient spirits. In time love bloomed. "Adama," Kwesi said one evening as they sat by the riverbank, the moon reflecting in the water, "will you be my wife?" She hesitated just for a moment before smiling softly. "Yes, Kwesi. I will be your wife." The village erupted in celebration. Kwesi, the pride of Nyanaba, would marry the mysterious yet beloved Adama. Preparations began immediately. Women wove colorful Kent cloths, their hands working quickly as they gossiped about the upcoming union. Hunters ventured deep into the forest for the fattest game, while elders brewed barrels of palm wine. The wedding was to take place under the baobab tree, a symbol of life and unity. The entire village would gather, for this was not just a marriage, it was a promise of blessings for the people. Yet, amidst the joy, a quiet unease stirred. The oldest elder, Nana Kojo, watched Adama with wary eyes. "There is something about her," he muttered to himself. "She does not belong." But no one paid his words any mind. After all, Adama had brought nothing but joy to their village. The morning of the wedding arrived with clear skies and the sound of drums echoing through the forest. The villagers gathered beneath the baobab, their laughter and singing carried by the wind. Adama was a vision in her wedding attire, a golden wrapper adorned with intricate beadwork, her hair braided with shells and flowers. Her golden eyes shone brighter than ever, though those who looked closely might have noticed something else, something ancient lurking beneath the surface. Kwesi stood tall, his chest filled with pride. His heart beat faster as Adama approached him, escorted by singing maidens. When their eyes met, it was as though the world around them disappeared. The ceremony began. Elders blessed the couple, pouring libations to the ancestors and the spirits of the land. The villagers cheered as Kwesi and Adama exchanged vows beneath the ancient tree. When the final blessing was spoken, they were pronounced husband and wife. The celebrations lasted until the sun dipped below the horizon, and the stars painted the sky with light. The villagers returned to their homes, leaving Kwesi and Adama to begin their lives as man and wife. Inside their hut, a warm glow from the fire flickered across the walls. Kwesi watched Adama as she sat quietly, her back to him. The night felt unnaturally still. "Adama," he said softly, "why are you so quiet?" She did not respond. Kwesi stepped closer, reaching out to touch her shoulder. As his fingers brushed her skin, he froze. Her flesh was cold, far colder than it should have been. Adama turned to face him, and in that moment, Kwesi's heart stopped. Her golden eyes glowed unnaturally, and her skin seemed to ripple as though something moved beneath it. Slowly, she rose to her feet, and before Kwesi's stunned eyes, her form began to change. Her legs fused together, elongating and twisting into a serpent's tail. Her arms softened, her skin shedding like the scales of a snake. The fire's glow danced on her new form. A serpent, golden and gleaming, coiled before him. Kwesi stumbled back, his breath caught in his throat. What are you?" Adama's voice came, soft but echoing with an otherworldly tone. "I am Adama, but I am also not. I am a spirit, a guardian of the Asin River. I was sent to walk among humans, to observe and understand." Kwesi shook his head, fear gripping him. "You deceived me. You are not human?" "I never meant to harm you," Adama said sorrowfully, her serpent eyes locking with his. "I hid my truth because I feared you would reject me. I only wanted to know love, to feel what it meant to live as you do." Kwesi's heart raced as he stared at her, torn between the woman he had loved and the creature before him. The stories were true, he realized. The Asin River was not only sacred but home to spirits beyond understanding. "Do you hate me now?" Adama asked, her voice breaking. Kwesi said nothing. He could not speak, could not move. The weight of the revelation crushed him. By morning the village buzzed with whispers. Kwesi emerged from the hut alone, his face pale, his eyes hollow. He spoke not a word to anyone, and when the villagers asked where Adama was, he simply said, "She is gone." The elders gathered, murmuring among themselves. Nana Kojo nodded grimly. "The spirit of the river has returned to where she belongs." The villagers never saw Adama again. Some said she had returned to the Asin River, where she would guard the sacred waters forever. Others believed she had disappeared into the forest, her heart broken by the rejection of the man she loved. As for Kwesi, he was never the same. Though he remained in Nyanaba, he grew quiet, his laughter lost to the winds. He spent his days by the river, staring into its depths as though searching for something, or someone. The tale of Kwesi and Adama became a legend in Nyanaba, a story told under the moonlight to warn young men and women. Be careful whom you love, for not all beauty is what it seems. Sometimes even the purest love can hide a secret as ancient as the earth itself. And to this day, when the river's waters shimmer gold beneath the moonlight, the villagers say it is Adama, the serpent spirit, watching and waiting for the man who once held her heart. The story of Kwesi and Adama became a whispered legend in Nyanaba, a tale that lived in the shadows of the great baobab tree and the murmurs of the sacred Asin River. The village carried on as villages often do, but the mark left by the events was undeniable. Yet, some tales do not end simply because they are spoken as warnings. They linger, waiting for the right moment to stir again. Kwesi's life continued in quiet solitude. His days were spent tending the fields, hunting in the forest, and walking along the riverbank. Though his body remained strong and capable, his spirit seemed tethered to the memory of Adama. The golden shimmer of the river haunted him, a reminder of the love he had lost and the truth he could not reconcile. His nights were sleepless, his dreams a restless swirl of serpent eyes and whispered promises. Years passed and the village of Nyanaba grew. Children who had once played by the river were now adults, and new generations brought life and laughter to the community. Yet the legend of Adama persisted. Some said Kwesi was cursed, bound to the river until the end of his days. Others believed he remained because he still loved the spirit who had revealed her true form on their wedding night. One fateful evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Kwesi sat by the riverbank, his feet submerged in the cool water. He stared at the horizon, lost in thought, when a soft rustling broke the silence. Turning, he saw a figure emerging from the forest. It was a young woman, her hair braided with flowers, her eyes dark and kind. "Kwesi," she called softly, her voice trembling. "My name is Niam. I've heard your story and I've come to help you." Kwesi frowned, his gaze wary. "Help me? How can you help with a burden that even time cannot lift?" Niam stepped closer, kneeling beside him. "I am a healer, trained by my grandmother, who was once the keeper of secrets for this village. She taught me the ways of the spirits and the stories they leave behind. I believe Adama's story is not over, Kwesi. The spirits do not act without purpose, and I sense there is more to her journey, and yours." Kwesi's heart stirred, a flicker of hope mingling with his skepticism. "And what would you have me do, Niam? Summon her? Call out to a spirit who may no longer care for this world?" Niam smiled gently. "Perhaps not summon but seek. The river has its secrets and the spirits are always listening. If you truly wish to find peace, you must journey to the source of the Asin River. It is said that there, where the waters are born, the veil between worlds is thinnest. You may find the answers you seek, or the closure you need." Kwesi hesitated. The source of the Asin River was a place of myth, spoken of in hushed tones but rarely visited. It was said to be guarded by forces both benevolent and malevolent, a place where the brave could find truth or destruction. Yet, something in Niam's eyes, her earnest conviction, stirred him. "I will go," he said finally, his voice steady. "If there is even a chance to understand, I must take it." The journey began at dawn. Niam insisted on accompanying Kwesi, her knowledge of herbs and the spirit world invaluable for what lay ahead. Together, they ventured deep into the forest, following the river's winding path. The air grew cooler, the trees denser, as they left behind the familiar and entered a realm where time seemed to stretch and bend. The first days were uneventful, marked by the rhythmic sound of water and the rustling of leaves. But as they pressed further, the forest began to change. The trees grew taller, their trunks twisted and ancient. Strange markings appeared on the rocks and roots, symbols that Niam recognized as the language of the spirits. "We are close," she whispered, her voice reverent. "This is a sacred place." One evening, as they camped by the river, a mist began to rise. It curled around them like a living thing, and the air grew heavy with the scent of blossoms and rain. Kwesi's heart raced as a soft voice called his name. "Kwesi?" He turned sharply, his eyes scanning the mist. There, on the edge of the river, stood a figure. It was Adama. Her form was as he remembered, beautiful, ethereal, her golden eyes glowing softly in the twilight. "Adama," he breathed, rising to his feet. "Is it really you?" She smiled, her expression both tender and sorrowful. "It is me, Kwesi. I have watched you from the waters, felt your pain and longing. You seek answers, and I will give them to you." Niam stood back, her hands clasped tightly, sensing the gravity of the moment. Adama stepped closer, her voice carrying the weight of ages. "I was sent to your village not by chance, but by the spirits of the Asan River. They wished for me to learn of humanity, to walk among your kind and understand your joys and sorrows. But I did not expect to find love. You, Kwesi, taught me the beauty of a mortal heart. Yet, my nature, my truth was a barrier I could not overcome." Kwesi's eyes filled with tears. "I loved you, Adama. I still do. But how can love survive such a chasm between us?" Adama reached out, her fingers brushing his cheek. "Love is the bridge, Kwesi. It is the only force that can connect worlds. But to truly be together, sacrifices must be made." Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Niam stepped forward, her voice steady. "What must be done, Adama? What can we do to unite your worlds?" Adama's gaze shifted to Niam, her golden eyes softening. "The source of the Asan River holds the answer. A ritual must be performed, one that will bind me to this world, or release me forever." The journey to the source became a race against time. The forest grew darker, the air charged with energy. They encountered challenges, raging storms, shadowy figures that whispered doubts, and trials that tested their resolve. Yet, with Niam's guidance and Kwesi's unwavering determination, they pressed on. At last they reached the source. It was a breathtaking sight, a crystalline pool surrounded by luminous flowers, the water shimmering with an otherworldly light. Adama stood at the edge, her form glowing in the moonlight. "The ritual requires a choice," she said, her voice trembling. "Kwesi, if you wish for me to stay, you must offer something of great value, a part of your soul. But if you wish to free me, you must let me go, knowing we can never be together again." Kwesi's heart ached. He looked at Adama, the woman he loved, and then at Niam, who had guided him this far. The weight of the decision pressed upon him. After a long silence he spoke. "Adama, I cannot ask you to sacrifice your nature for me. Love is not possession. If freeing you means you will be at peace, then that is what I choose." Tears glistened in Adama's eyes as she stepped into the pool. The water rippled, and her form began to dissolve into light. "Thank you, Kwesi. Your love has set me free." The light grew brighter, enveloping the pool and casting the forest in a golden glow. When it faded, Adama was gone, her essence returned to the river. Kwesi sank to his knees, his heart heavy yet strangely at peace. Niam placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did what was right, Kwesi. Her spirit will always be with you." The journey back to Nyanaba was quiet. Kwesi's steps were lighter, his burden eased. He continued to live by the river, his love for Adama now a part of its eternal flow. And when the villagers saw the golden shimmer in the water, they knew it was her, the spirit of the Asan, forever watching over them. The river's song carried the memory of Kwesi and Adama far and wide, whispered by winds and echoed by travelers who paused to drink from the Asan. Nyanaba grew prosperous, its people drawing strength and wisdom from the legend that had come to define them. Yet, for Kwesi, the golden shimmer of the river became a quiet solace rather than a constant ache. The years began to weave a new chapter in his life, one not of sorrow but of reflection and quiet fulfillment. Niam became a frequent companion, her presence grounding Kwesi in ways he had not expected. They shared stories by the fire, hunted side by side, and explored the mysteries of the forest that surrounded them. Her laughter brought a warmth to his world that had long been absent, and her wisdom guided him through the complexities of life after Adama. One evening, as the fire crackled and the stars shimmered overhead, Niam spoke. Kwesi, the river has given you much, pain, love, and even redemption. But have you ever wondered if it holds more for you? Kwesi looked at her, his brow furrowing. What more could it hold, Niam? I've made peace with Adama's spirit and my own heart. The river's song is enough for me. Niam's eyes glimmered with something between curiosity and certainty. The spirits rarely weave such intricate tales without reason. They bound Adama to the waters and sent her to your life for a purpose. Perhaps the river's song carries more than memory, perhaps it carries a call. Kwesi's heart stirred. He had learned to trust Niam's intuition, but the idea of more unsettled him. And what would you have me do, Niam? Seek the spirits again? Risk disturbing their balance? Niam's smile was patient. Not disturb, Kwesi. Water. The Asin River's source holds many truths, but it also holds mysteries untold. What if your journey to the source was only the beginning? The words lingered in the air, and Kwesi felt a familiar pull, a whisper at the edge of his thoughts. That night, his dreams returned, vivid and filled with golden light. He saw Adama, her form dancing along the river's edge, her voice weaving a melody that seemed to beckon him forward. The next morning, Kwesi rose with a quiet resolve. If the river calls, then I will answer. But I cannot do this alone, Niam. Will you journey with me again? Niam's grin was wide and fearless. Always, Kwesi. The spirit's path is never walked alone. Their preparations were swift yet deliberate. Niam packed her satchel with herbs, charms, and tools of her craft, while Kwesi sharpened his blade and gathered provisions. The villagers, curious and cautious, offered their blessings and warnings in equal measure. The legend of Kwesi and Adama was well known, and the thought of him embarking on another journey stirred both excitement and unease. The path along the river's edge was familiar at first, the forest's rhythm steady and welcoming. But as the days passed, the land began to shift. The trees grew denser, their roots gnarled and weaving into the earth like ancient veins. The river itself seemed to hum with energy, its waters shimmering with hues that defied description. Do you feel it? Niam asked one evening as they rested by the water's edge. The air is heavier here. The spirits are watching. Kwesi nodded, his gaze fixed on the rippling water. It's as though the river knows we're coming. I can feel its pulse in my chest. That night, their dreams intertwined. They found themselves standing on the river's surface, the waters beneath them alive with shifting images, moments from their pasts, faces of loved ones, and scenes of battles fought and won. A voice, deep and resonant, spoke from the depths. Kwesi, Niam, you have journeyed far, but your trial is only beginning. The river holds truths that can heal or destroy. To uncover them, you must face the shadows within and without. When they awoke, the river's song was louder, its call undeniable. The days that followed were filled with challenges. They encountered creatures born of mist and shadow, beings that tested their courage and unity. At one point, they crossed paths with an ancient guardian, a great serpent with scales that reflected the stars. Who dares tread upon the sacred path? The serpent hissed, its voice echoing through the forest. Niam stepped forward, her voice steady. We are seekers of truth, guided by the river's call. We mean no harm to the balance of this place. The serpent's eyes narrowed, and it regarded them for a long moment. Truth is a heavy burden. To proceed, you must offer proof of your resolve. Kwesi stepped beside Niam, holding out his blade. I have faced loss and love, battled despair and found peace. My resolve is my life, freely given for the sake of this journey. The serpent seemed to smile, its massive form coiling back. Your resolve is noted. You may pass, but beware, the river's truths are not always kind. When they finally reached the river's heart, the sight was unlike anything they had imagined. The waters pooled into a vast expanse, glowing with an ethereal light that seemed to emanate from the very earth. At its center stood an island, a single tree rising from it, the great baobab, its branches stretching toward the heavens. This is it, Niam whispered, her voice awed. The heart of the Asin River. They crossed to the island, the water parting gently at their approach. As they stepped beneath the baobab's canopy, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Adama, her form more radiant than ever, her golden eyes filled with both joy and sorrow. "You have come," she said, her voice like a melody. "The spirits have awaited this moment." Kwesi stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Adama, why do you appear now? What is this place?" Adama gestured to the tree and the shimmering waters around them. "This is the source of all things, where the mortal and spirit worlds converge. The spirits brought you here to offer a choice, Kwesi. Your journey has not been about closure, but transformation." Niam's voice was soft but urgent. "What choice, Adama? What must Kwesi do?" Adama's gaze turned to Niam, a gentle smile on her lips. "The river has chosen you both. Together, you can bridge the worlds, bringing harmony between the living and the spirits. But it requires a bond deeper than any before, a union of souls bound by love and purpose." Kwesi looked between Adama and Niam, his mind racing. "A union? What does that mean for us?" Adama stepped closer, her form shimmering. "It means surrendering the lives you know for a greater destiny. It means becoming one with the river, guardians of its flow and keepers of its truth. The choice is yours, but it must be made together." Silence fell, the weight of the decision pressing on them. Niam reached for Kwesi's hand, her grip firm and steady. "Kwesi, whatever we decide together. I trust you." Kwesi's heart swelled with emotion. He looked at Adama, the love that had defined his past, and at Niam, the love that guided his present. Taking a deep breath, he spoke. "We choose to unite, to honor the river and its truth." Adama's smile was radiant. "Then step forward and let the river weave your fates." As they stepped into the pool at the tree's base, the waters began to glow, enveloping them in light. Their bodies felt weightless, their souls intertwining with the river's flow. In that moment they became something more, guardians of the Asin, vessels of its eternal song. When the light faded, Kwesi and Niam stood hand in hand, their forms shimmering with the river's essence.